Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Gem and today we are back for our Colour and Chat series in Beauty of Horror by Alan Robert. So the day this video goes live is Sunday, so that is update in the stash shop day. We do have a range of individual tubes of watercolour paint and also acrylic paint going up today, so if that's something that tickles your fancy and you're of the painterly persuasion, head over to the stash shop at the website and you can check that out too. So in your absence, I actually got a bit carried away with myself, and not only did I finish my black border around the outside, but I finished my sky too. So I just wanted to talk really quickly about that, because if you remember, I kind of had a happy accident over here and I quite enjoyed this sort of paler texture around this lightning bolt. So I wanted to really make that a focal point, as if the lightning bolt was, you know, like really lighting up the sky there. So you can see as I've come over, this was 3 or 4 layers of pencil, so it really contrasts and you can see the difference there between the two, and it just makes that kind of go a little bit. So that's what we did with that, and as I say, I finished round the outside. So just because of that, I'm going to put a scrap of paper under my hand when I'm colouring today, just so I don't start smooshing all this about. So today we're going to work on the tentacles, and I've kind of rejigged what colours I wanted to use for this a couple of times, you know, like I've gone back and forth. So the pencils that we'll be using today, which are all the Prismacolor Premier as we've been using up until now. The first one we have is PC913, and that is Spring Green. And we also have PC909, which is Grass Green. PC105, Cobalt Turquoise. And last but not least, my good old friend Indigo Blue, which is PC901. I'll run those across the screen for you as well. Okay, so I've just got a little scrap of paper. So I'm going to start over here. Now this is going to be quite complicated in the fact that not only are we dealing with this light source of the lightning bolt, but we are working with a cylindrical shape that's got twists and turns in it. So it's quite easy to kind of lose sight of what's going on here. But I'm going to do my best to navigate through this for you, and hopefully it will help you if you are in a similar situation and you want to sort of move your colouring on a little bit. So first things first, we'll just go a tentacle at a time. I'm going to take the Spring Green, which is my lightest colour, and I'm going to use this to indicate where the highlights are going to be, so where the light's actually going to be hitting the tentacles. Now the inside of these suction cups are going to be a different colour, so we'll deal with them in just a moment. So we're really talking about the opposite side of the tentacle to the suction cups. This is going to get really complicated. Right, okay. So I'm thinking to myself, up here is going to be a lighter area. So just a very light tickle of pencil, nothing fancy. And then we've got these suction cups here, but this is going to be curving this way. So there might be a little bit here. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to stick to that. But we'll pop that in there, and we can always darken it down if need be. And then there might be a little bit down here as well. There is a lot of discretion to this. You know, there is no right or wrong way to do this. It's just about trying to envisage how you think these tentacles are sitting, because although they're curving like this, it's up to us to decide whether they're closer to us, the viewer, or whether they're further towards the background. So after that, we're going to grab our grass green, and we're just going to put a layer of that down over the rest of the tentacle. Normally when I'm doing a first layer, I like my pencil to be quite rounded, but we've a lot of tight spaces to get into here, so I'm going to sharpen it up. And as per usual, I'm using my Tentacle multi-sharpener. They're great for the Prismacolor pencils, because if you put it on a number 1 or a number 2 setting, it gives you a little short stubby point, which helps prevent breakages. So I shall just get started, and I'm going to work my way around all these areas nice and lightly. Now my reason for picking green was I actually wanted to use purples for the tentacles, but because we've used purples in our rather angry looking sea at the bottom, I thought we would mix it up a bit. And I do want to keep this sort of slightly cartoonish aesthetic to the picture, so I figured the greens were the way to go. So I am actually filming this on my birthday. Today is my birthday. And I've done this quite a few times now. I think this must be the second time that I've filmed on my birthday. And it's always a colouring chat, because it's something I find really relaxing. Like, this doesn't feel like hard work at all. Yeah, that's quite nice. I am on my own today all day, which that's not really anything unusual either, but yeah, I wasn't expecting to be unceremoniously wakened at 5:30 this morning by my husband. He's away doing, he's got quite a big undertaking today, so he was away very early and he's not going to be back until late tonight. So I figured I was just going to spend my day doing things that I really like doing, which of course involves colouring, and at the moment I'm not getting a lot of time to colour. So this is very welcome indeed. So I'll just wiggle my way around here. I'm not often completely certain when it's something as twisty and bendy as this. I'm not always entirely convinced about my colour choices, but I think I've gone in the right direction with this. So the fact that I have given it some thought as well, I suppose that always helps. And that's something that I don't always do. Well, you guys will know. Even from a drawing perspective, this is not straightforward. Tentacles, especially bendy, twisty tentacles, they're not the easiest thing to draw. Hats off, Mr. Robert. So we've got this layer of green down now. Now for me, the easiest thing to do is to start with the most obvious areas, and for me that's always the darkest parts. So my next colour down, which is the cobalt turquoise, again I'm just going to give it a quick sharpen. And down here is going to be very, very dark down in this corner. So with the areas around the suction cups, so when I say that I mean round this outside curve, I'm going to start there because I do want them to be quite dark. So I'm just going to I'm going to work in this tiny little triangle just now. And again, this is back to really getting clear in my mind what I want everything to look like. Because in my head, there's some of these raised kind of half moon areas around the actual suction cup. And I want them to be this grass green. I want them to be really vibrant. So what I'm basically going to do, and in the nooks and crannies surrounding that, I'm going to jump between this cobalt turquoise and then our indigo as well to get some really nice shadow in there. Because obviously those are going to be tight little spaces where there's not going to be a lot of light getting to them. So in this little crevice here, I'm just making it, maybe I can zoom in a little bit more. So right in here, and again, just keeping a really light pressure. Because the cobalt turquoise is quite an intense colour, if we keep our pressure quite light with the indigo, then it's not going to be too indigo-y, it's not going to be too blue, it's going to keep that nice sort of turquoisey feel to it, which is kind of what I wanted. And then down on this bottom edge as well, so I'll just flick a quick line of the indigo down in there. Maybe bring a little bit up in the corner here. And then we can go over that with our cobalt turquoise and blend that in together. And that's given us like a really nice kind of like jewel tone. Obviously the cobalt kind of falls into that category anyway, but just makes it all the more interesting. So now I can even go back in with this indigo just a bit deeper in this corner. Ooh. Those would make really nice peacock colours as well. I maybe even used them, when did I do peacocks? That was a while ago. Oh, Hannah Carlson. Now I'll need to go back and look at that. I'll link that video in the description and the end card if you haven't seen it. It was one of the nameplate pages and it's two great big peacocks down each side. I may have actually used these colours. I don't know for sure, don't quote me on that. Okay, so in here now. And this is the way to do things like this, is just literally take a section at a time and just take your time and enjoy yourself. So I've left a tiny, tiny little bit there with no cobalt on it, and I'm going to stick the grass green in there because it's facing upwards. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we've got this section here leading up to the area that I've highlighted. So we'll stick with grass green there. Again, just another light layer, and I'm kind of stopping it where these suction cups start to kind of like interfere. So that's two kind of lightish layers there. And then I can jump back down to the cobalt and just pop that in again, just at these sort of like, I'll call them creases, that's probably, they're not even creases, but if I just pop them in there, you kind of get the idea. This one's kind of facing at a wonky ankle. Wonky ankle. I'm too busy thinking about my sore foot. This is a wonky angle. So I'm just going to pop some of this indigo in here. Wonky ankle. Oh wow. Honestly, I promise I haven't been drinking. It's only it's not even 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh goodness me. Yeah, it's wonky ankles. My foot's still not right. Like, it is really not right. I may have to go back and get it seen to. It started clicking now. There's bruising still coming out, and that's been almost a week or so. There's something like not quite right going on in there. But anyway, that's beside the point. We're having a happy day today. It's my birthday and I'll be happy, goddammit. So I'm picking up my lightest colour now, which is this spring green. And I just want to start blending this into our grass green just at this side here. And I'll maybe make that a little bit more intense. And then I'll nip back to the grass green. And we can just start to blend this in. Now, this was one of the reasons I picked the Prismacolors for this particular page. I kind of figured I would be doing a lot of blending here, so Prismacolors are ideal for this. Now when I'm blending, I am going from the grass green, which is the darker green, and I'm pulling it out with the spring green. You know, like pulling it out into the spring green with the spring green, and it's just to make it look, because I don't want this to look as if it doesn't belong to the same tentacle, so to speak. So that just helps mesh everything together a little bit. Okay, so back to our grass green now, and we'll tackle some of this part in here. The lead literally just like flew out the end of my cobalt turquoise. It's gone all the way off the desk over onto the windowsill. Oh wow, I have a feeling that today is going to be one of those days. Oh my goodness. So one of the other things that's happened just in these last few days that's been a bit disconcerting is I've had a bit of an issue with postage calculation in the stash shop, and I wanted to mention it here. I'm going to talk about it properly. I've got a kind of like more updatey kind of video coming up, and I'll talk about it in a bit more detail then, but I just wanted to mention it. For some reason, it's like an automatic postage calculator on the website in the shop. So when someone buys something, it goes by the weight of the item, because in the UK that's one of the main ways that we calculate postage with Royal Mail. And for some really odd reason, the postage calculators just decided to start making things up, and I can't figure out what's causing it. So I just wanted to mention it because I don't want people to think that I am artificially inflating postage costs to like counterbalance the fact that some of the items are really cheap. So if any of you have been on to the stash shop and you've looked at things and the cost of the shipping has put you off, please get in touch with me and let me know, because I've picked up on a few people that have actually purchased things, but I'm aware it's enough to put people off from buying anything. And obviously that's not what we want. I am trying to fix it, and I think for the most part I'm there, but I'm just not entirely sure. All I'm doing here is jumping between the grass and the spring green on these suction cup areas. So the kind of raised areas that are going to be pointing more towards the lightning bolt, that's where I'm using a little tickle of this, the same way as I've done here. Yes, so I just wanted to mention that really quickly, because that's not cool. And I was completely unaware of it, but literally people, there was someone in Ireland and there was someone in the US who had bought items and they were literally getting charged double the postage. And when I calculate postage, you know, when I put in the parameters, I cover off the actual cost of putting a stamp, so to speak, on the package, and a little bit extra just to cover off the you know, the cost of the envelopes if I have to buy them and run into the post, you know, that kind of thing. So it's just a few pence. And I was shocked that I actually emailed one person and said, look, I've seen your order come through. I wasn't at home at that point. And I was like, there's something very wrong with this postage. I'll fix it and I'll refund you when I get home. And thankfully they were very, very nice about it. You know who I'm talking about. You know who you are. And yeah, that just made me realise, I was like, oh crap, what if there's loads of people going on and looking at stuff in the shop and then putting it in their cart and then going to check out and be like, geez, oh, I'm not paying that in postage. Oh, so yeah, that was a bit of a panic. But as I say, I think I'm not entirely there yet, but I think I've rectified it. So yeah. Oh, it's just one of those things. So I was just kind of sitting with my head in my hands, and I couldn't do anything about it because I was about 16 miles from the cave sitting in a tractor. So there wasn't much I could do about that at that particular time. These things are sent to tries. But this is the thing though, like it's a learning curve and you've just got to kind of deal with it as you go along. But I know that there's always somebody out there that will, would say that kind of thing and say, oh, she's ripping people off. I'm not doing it intentionally, and I've tried to fix it. I'm just working my way around here. And I'm trying to stick with this grass green for these suction cups, but I'm only really adding in the spring green if it's, you know, definitely pointing towards this direction. It's like round the top here, imagine, because these are going to be sticking up. The actual suction cups are going to be sticking up further than the actual tentacle part. So they would maybe have a little bit of light hitting them. I have to confess to what I'm doing to make myself happy. I had cheese for breakfast. I never, ever, ever eat cheese for breakfast. And I ate cheese for breakfast just because I could, because it's my birthday. And I had ice cream for lunch just before I started filming this. Not anything else, just ice cream. And it was fun. So that's it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it today. Why not? I also do not have to cook my own dinner this evening because apparently Mr. Jem is organising dinner. Now, whether that actually means cooking, I'd be surprised if he was actually going to cook anything. I know he's going to be tired when he comes in tonight. Probably thinking it might be a takeaway. But either way, I'm happy because I cook dinner every night. So it's just nice to have a little rest from it. The only thing that could have made that better for me if he was actually around during the day and he would walk the dogs for me, because that's something I do every single day of my life, and just shortly it's going to be twice a day now that the later nights are coming in. But obviously I can't have everything, and I'm quite happy that I'm able to have a day off. So I'm not working my proper job today. Again, being self-employed, it's one of the perks. And I just told the lady that I do work for. I keep going to call her my boss, and I suppose she is my boss in a sense because I report into her. But she doesn't tell me what to do in the sense that, oh, you have to work these hours and we need you to do this. She just offers me the work, and well, I usually say yes. So I just emailed her yesterday when I was like, yeah, I'm having tomorrow off because it's my birthday. But I hardly ever take holidays or anything like that anyway. So she was like, oh, that's good. You have a nice day. And I'll speak to you another day. Like, yep, okay, thanks. One of the really nice things about being self-employed. I do have deadlines and things to meet, you know, if I'm working on a certain project. There are time scales for things, but generally I work, you know, quite far in front anyway. I always try to be ahead of the curve, and it's more in case something happens here at home and I have to go outside and help the boys or whatever. So there's never usually any issue if I turn around and say, you know, I'd like to have this day off and only give her a couple of days notice. I'm working on my own just now as well. I'm not working as part of a team, so that's even better because it means I'm not going to be affecting anyone else. It's just myself. I'm kind of thinking this is looking very blue down here now just compared to what I've done up here. So I'm just wondering if I sneak in here with my spring green and just stick a layer of that over. Oh yeah, that's doing the job. Yep, okay. That was exactly what I was hoping was going to happen. Hooray. So as we get up round here now, the chances of using the indigo are significantly slimmer because we're not facing here as much and we're not tucked in behind the boat. So we're going to stick between the cobalt turquoise and the grass green here. So I think I was going to bring that highlight all the way up and round. In fact, I might just still double, why not? Let's just, yeah. And then we can go grass green in these sections here. Some of these sections are really small round the suction cups, and I'm not gonna try and blend stuff round there because that's just, I don't know, I think that's just taking things a bit too far. Popping in with this highlight again here. I don't know what it is, but the last few times that I've come to film these colouring chats, I seem to just, like, I can't get my words out. I'm still taking pain medication for my foot, but I'm not on, like, the big hefty painkillers now, so that really shouldn't affect my speech in any way, shape or form. I'm actually going to skip this section of suction cups out. See this part here? I'm going to leave that just now, and I'm going to come up here, because I've just got this nice open area that I want to work in. So I've just got another layer of this grass green down, and we'll bring this down into these suction cups just to keep everything nice and uniform there. And then I'm going to take this cobalt turquoise and I'm going to run a little bit of this, a bit like I've done with the spring green on this left hand side. I'm going to do the same on the right with this darker colour. Yeah, so other than that, I am preparing for the cave birthday, which is very, very soon indeed. The cave birthday is actually the 10th of March, but I usually just, you know, do the celebratory thing on the nearest video date, which is the 11th, I do believe. I don't know without looking at a calendar. Yes, the 11th, which will be the next video after this one. There we go. I need to get my skates on and get filming. Yeah, and as always, for our newer viewers, every year we do celebrate the cave birthday, and we usually have some goodies to give away. No spoilers here, and yeah, we just have a nice time and celebrate the fact that I've not lost my sanity after after this last year. So yeah, I hope you'll all join me for that video as well, because that's usually quite good fun. I didn't actually, somebody's asked me this before, but I didn't actually deliberately start the channel so soon after my own birthday. I'd been preparing to launch the channel since January of 2018. And it just so happens by the time I had everything ready and the videos all edited and I was brave enough to, you know, to make them go live, that it just happened to be shortly after my own birthday. But no, it wasn't intentional. Okay, so just doing a bit of blendy now with this lightest colour and deliberately trying to pull the darker colours over so that we don't get this really bright sort of, well, I mean, it is really bright, but we don't get this really sort of stark line of the spring green round the outside. You know, it needs to look quite natural because this is a curve. And I think we were doing okay so far. So down in here, there's not going to be as much light hitting here, so I am omitting that spring green until like the very last layer, and I'll just use it more as like a sort of blender. We'll start going into these tentacles now as well. And in these little gaps here, if I can get in, I'm just going to stick a wee bit of cobalt turquoise in there. Yeah, so I'm feeling it, yeah, we're talking about like cave birthday celebrations and everything, that like March is a busy month because we'll also be due our Artful box as well. March is one of their dispatching months because it's a quarterly box. So there's a kind of a lot of rammed into March, and I have felt it when I was planning the videos out. I was like, yes, this is going to be a really busy month. And one of the things that I've not done a lot of, I would say, since the start of the year is I really haven't done a lot of colouring on the channel. And I think in April I would like to do a few more colouring videos rather than just, you know, whatever we're doing in our colouring chat, because I am aware that by the middle of April we'll be almost done with this. So yeah, if anybody has anything in particular they want to see, I've actually got two of Kirby Rosanna's books. I've got Worlds Within Worlds and I've got Fragile World, which is his newest one, and I haven't coloured in either of them, and it's something that I really want to do, but I was kind of keeping that for our live streams, but I still don't have my internet upgrade, so that's kind of like been tucked away for a little while. But I'm having like severe Kirby withdrawal symptoms, but I'm very aware that, you know, the pages are all really, really intricate, and it's not the kind of thing you can sit and colour in like one or even two sittings. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Whether you would want to even just see like part of a page coloured or a particular section of a page, or whether you would rather wait and do a whole page together. So yeah, in April, especially towards the end of April, I would like to do some more colouring videos. So I'm open to any suggestions you've got about that, and please feel free to let me know in the comments. But I just feel like I want to colour more just now, like that's the way I'm feeling. I went through a phase of wanting to paint all the time for a little while there, but I think I'm kind of coming out the other side of that now. Okay, with these knobbly bits here, this is obviously like the sides of the tentacles that have twisted out towards here. So I'm going to go spring green in here, and I'll maybe just put like a tiny tickle of the grass green in. I'm aware that some of these areas I've accidentally hit with the slate, was it the slate blue or slate grey pencil that I was using for the background? So that actually might be a happy accident. So same thing up here, we've got this top edge that's facing towards the heavens. So we will just blend in a little bit of our grass green with that. Now it's going to be quite dark in that part that's curled under. So I'll get my cobalt turquoise on the go there, and I'll sneak in a wee bit of dark indigo. Oh yes. Right, now we're jamming. Now this is one of these things, I think I mentioned this in the last video as well. You look at a colouring page like this and you think, it's quite simple, there's not a lot, there's not a lot of elements to it, it'll be quite quick to colour. And then you start doing stuff like this and you're like, oh, hang on a minute here. This is going to take some time. And these sections here with the tentacles and all the suction cups and all the rest of it, they are very intricate, and you are going to have to take your time if you're wanting to do anything past, you know, just sort of flat block colouring, which is nice sometimes. But I think when you've got something as mobile as this that's clearly, you know, moving in the picture, I think it's worthwhile taking the time to show it a little bit of love and make it come to life. And I'm just about to completely contradict myself, but these sections around here are so small, I really can't, I can't see me trying to blend in all these weeny little sections. I think that might be just taking things a bit too far. Okay, for the inside of the suction cups, I have picked out Artichoke, which is PC 1098. I did look at a lot of pictures of suction cups. Obviously there aren't that many octopi that are this sort of rather fascinating shade of green, but the inside of their cups seem to be quite neutral. So I've picked this because it does have a greenish tinge to it. So I thought that would fit in quite well, you know, but being a sort of less overwhelming colour. So I'm just going to take a quick second to fill most of these in. That's exposed the gap. I've missed a bit. Missed a bit. And then just using the indigo pencil, I'm just going to put some little half moon just to give these a little bit of dimension. I'm not even going to do every one there because it's just going to start to look a bit muddy, and this will be a bit more apparent when we get down here. We've got, you know, we've got these slightly bigger ones here, so let's have a go with that. Now some of these as well have got a circle within the circle. Again, to be honest, I don't know how much we're going to be able to do with these, but say we'll just work a little section at a time. I never thought I'd enjoy colouring in tentacles quite as much as this. I'm just wondering, in all my years of colouring, if this is the first time I've coloured tentacles. I think it's definitely the first time I've coloured suction cups, maybe not tentacles. I was reading quite an interesting article about octopi the other day as well, when I was looking at pictures of suction cups. That's how I got to that, just in case I'm not like strange or anything. But depending on who you speak to, which research body, technically these aren't tentacles. Tentacles are the long windy bits, and normally tentacles only have little suction cups on the ends, so they're more like arms. So it varies depending on who you're speaking to, and a lot of the scientific boffins that study them will tell you that octopi actually don't have any tentacles. They've got arms and legs, which I think is absolutely adorable, and that is definitely going to spawn a character of some description that's got actual arms and legs but looks, you know, a little bit more like this. So yeah, the ideas for that have already started in the sketchbook. Probably with a humorous outcome, I would imagine. I wouldn't think it would be a terribly realistic and accurate depiction, but I just thought that was really interesting. I don't know if anybody else does it, because I know quite a lot of you have got pet dogs, but I refer to my dog's front legs as their arms, because I talk about I suppose it comes from, we talk about the shoulder joint, and the shoulder joint relates to the forelegs. And when we talk about their hind legs, we talk about their hip joints. So, you know, we're taking it and putting it into that sort of human classification. But if you speak to a vet, you know, that's what they call them. So, you know, I tend to talk about their front legs as their arms. I missed another one down here, good grief. Okay, so on these larger cups here, we can make more use of this indigo. And again, just to make them look more like they are, you know, they're more sort of sunken in, they're not flat. And I think with these very centre parts, I might just go full on indigo. The black border as well didn't take me that long, surprisingly. I thought I was going to be there for a long time with it. I was watching a YouTube video when I did it, but... Okay, so let's take a wee zoom out and look at our first tentacle in relation to the rest of the picture. And as you can see, I did talk about using slightly more muted colours in the background, and that was just so that it's not going to take away from what's going on in the foreground, because we have used these really vibrant colours down the bottom here, and I think the choice of greens is going to work really well, because that's going to stand out so much next to this background. So I'm pleased with my colour choices. As I said, I was slightly worried about that, but I'm glad I've picked the colours that I've picked. So we'll move on and we'll go for this one that's in behind the boat here. So again, let's go back to what's going on here. So our light source is on a different side now. It is up here and down this side. So everything on this inside part here is going to be dark. So we're just going to take this first section here. Most of this is hitting these tentacle parts, suction cup parts. So let's deal with that first. We'll pop a little bit of this in. So Mr. Jem said to me about if I wanted to buy myself something for my birthday, which indicates to me that he has not bothered to get me a gift, which is absolutely fine. We're not that big on stuff like that at birthdays. We tend to spend our money on each other at Christmas. But he said to me, he says, if if there's something that you're wanting or you fancy, why don't you just go ahead and buy it? And he said, I'll pay for it. And I was like, but there's not really anything that I'm needing or wanting, especially so soon after Christmas. I've got lots of nice things at Christmas. Do you know that way? I thought, well, if I had a little browse on Amazon, I might find something, that I really wanted or something that I really fancied. So I went into my Amazon app on my phone this morning, and there's always stuff coming. See, between the farm and the house, bearing in mind that we're renovating the house and the cave, there's always orders coming in, and I always check my orders page to see when things are due. So when I went in this morning, I realised that something was getting delivered today, and I was like, oh yeah, and I looked and realised it's a roll of sellotape. I was like, happy birthday, Jem, have some sellotape. I thought that just kind of sums things up for me just now. It made me chuckle though, it did make me laugh. It's like, yeah, your life's exciting when you're only Amazon delivery on your birthday, bearing in mind you get Amazon deliveries like most days, is a roll of sellotape. And the worst thing about it is, though, I'm actually quite excited about it because I have ordered bona fide, branded sellotape because I'm sick of using cheap sellotape. I left Mr. Jem to do like the office stationery order last time, and he is such a skinflint. I bought myself a nice big shiny dispenser for it to sit on as well. So yeah, and all of that, I'm actually secretly quite excited about my sellotape today. Oh wow, don't you just love being an adult? It's the best thing ever. God. As we work our way over, I want to try and keep this aesthetic of, we've got this lighter patch here and over here isn't so light. So I'm going to go easy with the indigo here. I was going to put quite a lot of indigo in on this side, and I'm not going to do it. I want to save the ratio of indigo to cobalt turquoise for over on this side, just where things are a bit darker. So that's just something to note as well. So if you do decide to do something like this in a piece like this, and you want it to be quite dramatic, that's a really good thing to think about, is like the sliding scale of your colours. Lighter, although you're incorporating all of the pencils into each element, my use of the indigo was minimal here. So you want to keep lighter and then more of your mid-tones, and then when you get to this side, more of the dark tones. So I will still be using the spring green and the grass green here, but there'll just be a lot less of it. I just thought that was worth mentioning while it was rumbling around in my wee brain there. And this is the thing, and it's actually quite one of the reasons why I quite enjoy doing colouring chats, because I spend a lot of time planning my videos and really thinking about key points that I want to mention as I'm colouring. But quite often when I'm doing these, I change my mind as I go, or things crop up. And it's that makes me think to myself, oh, well, I better mention this, or it would be good to tell the cavers about that. And no amount of planning can cover that. So that's why I really enjoy this kind of more informal colouring video. And I think that for people that have got the time and patience, even if they're not colouring along, but if you guys have maybe got me on in the background, I think this is one of the best ways to learn stuff. And it's the thing that I enjoy most about watching other colourists, is just to have them in a sort of more of an informal chatty situation. It's different if there's a specific thing that I'm trying to figure out or learn, then obviously I will look for a video that is geared towards that. But just for sort of general entertainment, it's the same with art videos, it's not just colouring videos. I do like the more sort of informal stuff, and it's probably the reason why I've picked up that format myself in terms of being a YouTuber. It definitely plays a big part in it. That was the other thing as well. Aside from skin tones, I know that's a video that you would all really like to see me do. Quite a few people have asked me about doing a skin colour tutorial video. And I have to say, I don't colour people very often, and I wouldn't say it's my strong suit, but I'll definitely do a video on it if it's something you want to see. But if there's anything in particular in terms of colouring that you would like me to cover, please let me know, because I'd be more than happy to accommodate your requests for stuff like that, because I'm kind of at the stage like I'm quite happy colouring everything now. Given a choice though, I don't avoid colouring humans, it's just the things that I like to colour tend not to involve humans, and patterns. I really don't like doing like mandalas and that kind of thing. I find them very repetitive, not that exciting. But if there's something specific that you would like to see, I would gladly accommodate it, so please let me know down in the comments. These sides here would be dark, which is why I'm using the cobalt in here. Depending on which way they were facing, I suppose they could be tilted slightly towards our lightning strike. I'm kind of going like the sort of traditional, well, what I was going to say the traditional logical route, what seems logical to me, but these ones look as if they're kind of turned up the way, so maybe not so much on these ones here. Maybe we just go grass green in here. You can't see me, but I keep looking at this and I'm like squinting my head at it. I'm like, does that look right from that angle? Yeah, so I'm thinking even down in here, that's going to be a lot darker. So I'm going to get my cobalt on again. I don't even have to look down at the side of the desk, but I know that Woo, my Jack Russell, is there because I can smell her. Her breath is so bad now. She's 16, and her breath is just horrendous. And do you know that way you just kind of like get a waft of it and it's like, oh goodness me. And I know that she's there. Hi Woo. Oh, it's so horrible. I don't love her any less, but oh my goodness, it stinks. I had to give her a bath yesterday as well. We when we go out for, when we take the dogs out for exercise, a lot of the time, especially at this time of year, we have lots of empty fields because the cows are all inside, so they're not grazing out in the fields. And we take full advantage of that and use them to exercise the dogs in, because it means the collies can run forever, which is great. And Woo likes to find things to roll about in because she's a Jack Russell and that's what they do. And the rule is, if you stink, you go in the sink. So basically if she rolls in anything, and it's usually deer poop, fox poop, geese poop, rabbit poop, basically any kind of poop that's not dog poop, she will roll in it. And apparently they use it to disguise their scent, when they're chasing rabbits or mice or rats or whatever it is. And at 16, Woo hasn't chased it. The last thing she chased was a mouse, and that was about 3 years ago. But she still does it, and it's all over her back and her shoulders and everything, and she absolutely reeks. And you would think by now that she would realise that the consequence of that always ends up with her being in the sink. But no, still does it. So we ended up having to... The good thing is though, she's small enough to put in the sink. So when we come in through like our utility room door. I think most people would call it their back door, but our back door and our front door like almost face each other, so that doesn't make any sense. Just an old house with a strange layout. So yeah, basically I just plonk her straight in the sink. It's like, do not pass go, do not collect £200. And she hates being in the sink, but she still insists on rolling in things. But I have realised now that she's older. If you make the water quite warm, because normally I would only ever make it like lukewarm, but if you make it like a little bit warmer than that, she actually quite likes standing in it once she's realised the temperature of it. I think it must feel quite nice on her old joints now. So at least the washing in the sink situation is a little bit harmonious. Because when I was rubbing her back legs yesterday, I was like massaging the shampoo in and she shut her eyes. That's what she must have been enjoying it. But yes, that's just one of those things. She never seems to have learned her lesson, or it's like she can't resist the urge, like the urge is too much for her. Dogs, but she smelled horrendous yesterday. She smells of oranges now though. The shampoo we've got just now's got oranges in it. Okay, some of these more protruding suction cups. I just want to put a little bit of like indigo like as a shadow effect. And in the grand scheme of things, this probably isn't going to add anything to the picture, but this is the kind of stuff that I like doing. Just a little bit here and there. looking at these, it reminds me of an old 90s point and click computer game called Day of the Tentacle. For any of you that like to play video games, you may have heard of it. It was LucasArts that did it, as in the same LucasArts that's part of the Star Wars, I was going to say franchise, but it's owned by, is it not owned by Disney now? Anyway, I'm off on a tangent again. Yeah, it was made by LucasArts, and I just absolutely loved the humour in it. But basically, it was tentacles that grew arms. They were aliens, and they were just big tentacles and they hopped about on their sucker, like on their bottom. And then they had, like, one eye was a suction cup, and then the one underneath was like their mouth. There, if I can find a picture, I'll put it up on the screen for you just now. But that's what this reminds me of because of all these suction cups. That was a great game. I actually played it not that long ago, and it's amazing. After all that time, I actually still remembered most of the puzzles, and I was able to complete it without too much difficulty. It took me a while, but I love going back and playing old games like that. I love nostalgia. But yeah, that they were like, LucasArts were like the height of point and click adventures in the 90s. And the artwork in them's amazing as well. Like, it's really like just this, like the stylized sort of part of it. Very, very distinctive. They're very good. And the humour's second to none as well. Even if you're not like a hardcore avid gamer, see if you just like figuring puzzles out, if you own any kind of computer. In fact, you can get it on an app now. I'm pretty sure you can get it like on your iPad. Day of the Tentacle, it is well worth it. It's a great game. The other ones were, they did a whole load at one point. There were, well, the first one was, that was it. The first one was called Maniac Mansion, and that was done in the 80s, so it wasn't quite, it didn't have the same visual aesthetic to it. And there was a second one of those, and then they started doing the likes of Day of the Tentacle, etc. And they did the Sam and Max series. Sam and Max Hit the Road was the one I played, and this was like a dog and rabbit detective team. And again, I would say like some of the humour was quite adult in it, but the visuals, especially for their era, were fantastic, and they've all been digitally remastered now. So even if you're just a casual gamer or you like puzzles, I would highly recommend giving them a shot, because they've stood the test of time really well. I miss those games. Okay, we're going to work on these suction cups a little bit now. So I think what I'll do is I'll do the middles first. So after I've finished this video today, I'm not going to edit it today because I don't need to edit it right now. I've got loads of time. I am going to hang up some washing. That's exciting, isn't it? Wow. I'm going to hang up some washing, and then after that I'm going to go and play my Xbox, and I'm probably going to play some games in VR as well. Because of my foot, I have to stick to sitting down games when I'm playing in virtual reality just now, because I can't stand up for any length of time. It's too sore on my foot. But I'm definitely going to play some computer games this afternoon. Like, that is happening, because I really haven't had the chance. And I've been playing the new Resident Evil game, and I've talked about these before. It is like a survival horror series, for those of you that aren't familiar with them, and I absolutely love survival horror games. I like being deliciously scared. So the new Resident Evil game is coming out in May, and I never finished the last one. I started it, and I think I played like the first 3 hours of it. So that's like the first third of the game, I suppose. And I never went back to it because I was too scared. It is absolutely terrifying. Anyway, I started back in that recently because I'm determined I'm going to complete it before the new one comes out. I have reached a point in the game, and again, I don't really want to spoil this in case anybody is playing it, but I'm assuming that most people will have completed it by now, or will be fairly well on, because it's quite an old game. But the story centres around you go and find your wife that's been missing for 3 years, because she sends you like an email and asks for you to like basically go and rescue her, and you don't really know what's going on, and you land in this old dilapidated house in like a fictional parish of Louisiana, and the bayous there and everything, and it's so creepy. But there's a family that live in this house, and they are basically cannibals, and they are terrifying. They are absolutely terrifying. Anyway, I've happened on the mother of the family, and she turns into this terrifying, like she morphs into this terrifying like spider thing, and it is singularly one of the most disturbing things that I have seen. And it's just the lighting, like, and the way they do it, because you just see her like crawling away into a hole, and it's like, oh. I am in the process of tiptoeing around this house, and you know that she's in the house, but you don't know where she is, and she keeps like jumping out at you and stuff. It is absolutely frightening. So I'm determined today. Her name's Marguerite. I am determined today that I am going to find Marguerite, and I'm going to dispose of her. I'm going to dispatch her, so that I don't have to keep running into her, because I can't deal with that for much longer without having a heart attack. But I love it. So yeah. My brother had texted me earlier, and he was asking if I was doing anything nice for my birthday, and he has obviously played this. He also likes to play games, and I said to him, Marguerite's getting a whopping today, and he just laughed. His response was, oh, how little you know. So that's kind of concerned me a little bit as well, because I don't actually know what's going to happen. But I'm doing it today. The sun's out. I can play when the sun's out. Everything will be alright. My mum says to me she doesn't understand how I can be scared playing a computer game and like want to keep playing it. And sometimes I don't, like, it's something that I do in short bursts. And it's the same with anything, you know, if you were watching a really heavy going documentary, you know, that was quite serious or quite dark, you wouldn't sit and binge watch it for 12 hours, because it does affect you. No different with computer games. When I'm playing something like that, at most I'll play for maybe 2 hours at a time, and then I turn it off and that's it, and I go do something else. Because you do get to a point where, you know, you're looking over your shoulder. But I'm like that anyway, like with books. I love to read scary books too, and I'm, you know, like, it's one of those ones, like if you're reading a scary book and then you wake up during the night and you have to go to the bathroom, it's like you run to the bathroom really quick just in case someone's going to jump out and get you. Bit of the overactive imagination. I love it. Okay, let's just do these as well. I don't know whether these should be lighter or not, but I think I might go over those with the a little bit of this spring green on these top edges as well. Okay, right, we're kind of out of time there, guys. I've had such a good time just chatting away today. It's made me feel a little bit less alone today, because I'm feeling a wee bit alone. But yeah, okay, so that's looking fairly good. I'm quite happy with how this is coming along. The only thing I do want to do is put this back. I just want to go back over all of this with my spring green, just to kind of blend it in and give it that nice sort of greenish tinge again, like we did down here. And that's just going to keep it looking a bit more uniform. Again, at the end, I may go back in with my indigo pencil and just put in a little bit more contrast if I feel there's areas where it's you know, it's maybe not so contrasty. But we'll leave that till the end. Okay, guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on this, how we're getting on now. It's looking quite nice. See when I tip that towards the light there, wow. I want to thank you very much for watching. As I say, I've had a fabulous time today, and this is just what I was needing. Just what I was needing today. I would also love to know what you guys are colouring just now. See, I'm having a bit of a colouring drought at the moment, so go and inspire me and tell me what y'all are doing with your WIPs for the moment. I'd like to hear about that too. And we shall see you back in the cave for another video real soon. So have a good day, everyone. Please take care of each other. Stay safe. Bye for now.